All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Voting begins for first phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. 58 constituencies across 11 districts go to polls in this phase. Filing of nominations begins today for seventh and final phase of assembly elections in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says the government works with the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. CBSE to conduct second term board examination for classes 10 and 12 in offline mode from April 26th. More than 1 crore youngsters from 15 to 18 years of age received both doses of COVID-19 vaccine so far. AIIMS stops testing patients for COVID before surgeries in the hospital. RBI to announce its bi-monthly monetary policy review today. Government bans import of foreign drones to promote Make in India initiative. National Medical Commission cautions students against enrolling in Chinese universities. In cricket, India beat West Indies by 44 runs in the second ODI in Ahmedabad, takes 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. And Indian men's hockey team defeats South Africa by 10-2 in the second match of the FIH Pro Hockey League. With the new Omicron variant of coronavirus causing concern, we appeal to our listeners to be vigilant and to get fully vaccinated and help others, including children between 15 and 18 years, to get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Voting has begun for the first phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. 58 constituencies spread across 11 districts are going to polls in this phase. The polling began at 7 this morning. The voting will conclude at 6 in the evening. A total of 623 candidates, including 73 women, are in the fray in first phase. Around 2 crore 28 lakh voters are expected to cast their votes in this phase. These include 1.24 crore male, 1.04 crore female, and 1,448 third gender voters. The state is going to polls in 7 phases. All the necessary facilities and security arrangements have been made to ensure free, fair, transparent, and COVID-safe elections in the state today. The districts where elections are being held today are Shamli, Prabhuddanagar, Meerut, Hapur, Panchsheel Nagar, Muzaffarnagar, Bagpat, Ghaziabad, Bulandshahr, Aligarh, Agra, Gautam Budh Nagar, and Mathura. Now we go over live to our correspondent Diwakar, who is in Gautam Budh Nagar district. Diwakar, how is polling progressing?
Well, Abhishek, I am here at Indira Kala Kendra booth in Noida Sector 6 and polling has started here. Although it's early hour and cold, people have started coming out to cast their vote. There are 3 assembly constituencies in Gautam Budh Nagar district, Noida, Dadri and Jewar, and over 16,69,000 voters are in the area. Elaborate security arrangements have been made in the area. Over 8,000 police personnel have been deployed along with drone cameras to ensure free and fair polls. The polling is being conducted by following COVID protocols. Abhishek.
Right. Diwakar, tell us about the prominent candidates in this phase of polling.
Well, Abhishek, in Noida Assembly constituency, Pankaj Singh of BJP, Sunil Chaudhary of Samajwadi Party, Kripa Ram Sharma of BSP and Pankhuri Pathak of Congress are prominent candidates. There are 14 candidates in fray in Dadri Assembly's constituency and 12 in Jewar Assembly constituency. Abhishek.
Thank you, Diwakar, for that update. During 2017 Assembly elections, Bharatiya Janata Party bagged 53 out of the 58 seats going to polls today, while Samajwadi Party and Bahujan Samaj Party got 2 seats each, and the remaining 1 went to Rashtriya Lok Dal. In view of the first phase of Assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has appealed to all the voters to participate enthusiastically in the holy festival of democracy by following the rules of COVID. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said, "Pehle matdan, fir jalpan, first voting, then refreshments." The process of filing of nominations for the 7th and final phase of Assembly election in Uttar Pradesh will begin today with the issuance of notification. In the final phase, 54 Assembly constituencies, including 11 seats reserved for scheduled caste and 2 for scheduled tribes, spread across 9 districts will go to polls on the 7th of March. The 9 districts where polling will be held in the 7th phase include Azamgarh, Mau, Jaunpur, Chandoli, Ghazipur, Varanasi, Mirzapur, Sonbhadra and Bhadoi. The last date for filing of nomination papers for the 7th phase is 17th of February.
Prime Minister and senior BJP leader Narendra Modi will address a public meeting at Saharanpur in Uttar Pradesh this morning. He will also address a public meeting this afternoon at Srinagar in Uttarakhand. Mr. Modi is scheduled to address a public meeting at Mapsa in Goa today evening. BJP President Jagat Prakash Nadda will address public meetings at Biswan, Misrik and Sandila Assembly constituencies in Uttar Pradesh today. In Manipur, 175 candidates in fray now for the first phase of assembly elections in the state after the scrutiny of papers. The scrutiny of papers took place yesterday, and out of 176 candidates, only one nomination papers of one independent candidate from 59 Sai Kot Assembly constituency has been rejected. Meanwhile, tomorrow is the last date for filing of nomination papers for the second phase in the state. A report from our correspondent from Imphal.
During the scrutiny held yesterday, the nomination paper of Mr. Lunkho Sai, an independent candidate from Saikot Assembly constituency, was rejected. Remaining nomination paper of 175 candidates were clear. Meanwhile, 33 candidates filed their nomination paper for second phase yesterday. A total of 47 candidates filed nomination paper for the second phase till date. In the second phase, voting will be held in 6 electorate districts of Manipur on 3rd March. Thawal district, which have 10 assembly segments, have seen a high number of filing nomination paper for second phase till yesterday. Vijay Thoksom, AIR News, Imphal.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address a Jan Sankalp Sabha at Mapusa, North Goa this evening. Meanwhile, campaigning is reaching its peak as leaders of various political parties, including BJP, Congress, Aam Aadmi Party and TMC, are making all-out efforts to woo voters. Polling in Goa will be held in a single phase in 40 constituencies on the 14th of this month. More from a correspondent.
While addressing election meetings, senior BJP leader and Union Home Minister Amit Shah exhorted people to vote in favor of party candidates to make Golden Goa. Mr. Shah said mining work will be started within 6 months if BJP is voted to power. Accusing Congress Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said Goa would have been liberated in 1947 itself if armed forces were ordered to free it from Portuguese rule and held responsible to then Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. On the other hand, senior Congress leader and former Chief Minister Digambar Kamath alleged BJP is misguiding people. Criticizing BJP rule in the state, TMC leader and MP Susmita Dev said BJP has no roadmap to improve economic situation of Goa. AAP Chief Ministerial candidate Amit Palekar said people of Goa have now realized the truth of BJP and will not fall for its false promises. Krishna Kumar Lal, AIR News, Panji, Goa.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said BJP is always committed to serving the people of the country. In an interview with a news agency last evening, Mr. Modi said, when in power, the BJP-led government works with the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Speaking about the ensuing assembly elections, the Prime Minister said, we can see a way for BJP in all the 5 poll-bound states.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी संगठन में हो या सरकार में हो, हम हमेशा जनता जनार्दन की सेवा में लगे रहते हैं और जब सरकार में होते हैं तो बहुत अधिक तीव्रता से, अधिक विस्तार से सबका साथ, सबका विकास इस मूल मंत्र को लेकर के जी जान से जुटे रहते हैं। और मैं इस चुनाव में भी सभी राज्यों में देख रहा हूं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी के प्रति लहर है। भारी बहुमत से भारतीय जनता पार्टी जीतेगी।
On the law and order situation in Uttar Pradesh, the Prime Minister said when people discuss security situation in the state, they think of the problems they faced during the previous governments. He said in the current BJP government today women say that they can step out of the house at any time of the day without any fear. Talking about the farm laws, the Prime Minister said that 3 laws were brought for the benefit of farmers, but they were withdrawn in the nation's interest. Hitting out at the Congress and the Samajwadi Party, Mr. Modi said, when a party is run for generations by a family, then there is only dynasty and not dynamics. Mr. Modi mentioned that when he talks about fake socialism, it is about dynasty. When asked about the Congress, Mr. Modi alleged that the basis of Congress's working style and its ideology are communalism, casteism, nepotism and corruption. Reacting to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's interview to a news agency, senior Congress leader and Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot said the comments made by Mr. Modi are unfortunate. He said the ideology of the Congress is to strengthen the unity, integrity and democracy of the country.
The Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, will conduct the Term 2 board examinations for Class 10 and 12th from the 26th of April 2022. In a notification, CBSE said that after holding discussions with various stakeholders and taking into consideration the COVID-19 pandemic situation in the country, it has decided to conduct the Term 2 examinations for session 2021-22 in offline mode. Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia has informed that over 1 crore youngsters in the age group of 15 to 18 years have so far received both the doses of COVID-19 vaccine. In a tweet, Dr. Mandavia has said that now these children are fully vaccinated and it is a big day for India in the fight against COVID-19. He further added that it is a historic feat achieved by young India. The All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, yesterday announced discontinuation of routine COVID-19 testing before inpatient hospitalizations, surgeries and non-interventional procedures. A circular issued by Medical Superintendent of AIIMS said, in accordance with current ICMR's national guidance, it has been decided to discontinue with routine COVID-19 testing prior to inpatient hospitalizations, regular as well as day care, and also prior to any minor or major surgical or interventional or non-interventional procedures and imaging in clinically asymptomatic patients, including OPD or emergency patients, as well as those patients who were earlier COVID-19 positive and have since recovered and refreshed and transferred to the parent department's inpatient ward for continued treatment.
The World Health Organization WHO has warned that the Omicron variant of COVID will not be the last one and the possibility of other new variants is really high. During latest press briefing, the WHO epidemiologist and technical lead of the COVID-19, Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove, warned that the next COVID-19 variant will be more transmissible and perhaps more deadly than its predecessors. She said the Global Health Agency is tracking 4 different versions of Omicron.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Voting begins for first phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. 58 constituencies across 11 districts go to polls in this phase. Filing of nominations begins today for 7th and final phase of assembly elections in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says government works with the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. CBSE to conduct second term board examination for class 10th and 12th in offline mode from April 26th. More than 1 crore youngsters from 15 to 18 years of age receive both doses of COVID-19 vaccine so far. AIIMS stops testing patients for COVID before surgeries in the hospital. RBI to announce its bi-monthly monetary policy review today. Government bans import of foreign drones to promote Make in India initiative. National Medical Commission cautions students against enrolling in Chinese universities. In cricket, India beat West Indies by 44 runs in the second ODI in Ahmedabad, takes 2-0 lead in 3-match series, and Indian men's hockey team defeats South Africa by 10-2 in their second match of FIH Pro Hockey League. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back. You're listening to the morning news. The Reserve Bank of India will announce its last bi-monthly monetary policy review of the financial year 2021-22 today. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das will announce monetary policy at 10 this morning. The three-day meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee was scheduled to begin on Monday, but it was rescheduled and began on Tuesday due to the public holiday declared by the Maharashtra government on Monday to mourn the death of legendary singer Lata Mangeshkar. This policy review is important as it is the first policy review after the announcement of Union Budget 2022-2023. As part of efforts to promote domestic manufacturing of drones in the country, government has banned import of foreign drones with certain exceptions. The Director General of Foreign Trade, DGFT, has issued a notification banning the import of foreign drones. However, import of drones for research and development, defense and security purposes have been exempted from the ban, but such imports will require due clearances. Import of drone components shall not require any approvals.
India's top medical education regulator, National Medical Commission, NMC, has advised the students to exercise due diligence in choosing the destination for their medical education. The word of caution by NMC comes especially in context of medical education in China after India's External Affairs Ministry was alerted that some Chinese medical universities were inviting applications for admission to MBBS programs for the current and upcoming academic years, despite China continuing to ban the entry of foreign students in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. The notice said a large number of international students, including Indian students, have not been able to return to China to continue their studies due to these restrictions. Thus far, there has been no relaxation in the restrictions. It said Chinese authorities had conveyed earlier that the courses will be conducted online until the restrictions are lifted. The notice said students who enroll in these Chinese universities this academic year would likely have to take classes online for the near future, and as per the existing rules, National Medical Commission does not recognize or approve medical courses done only by online mode. The Atal Tunnel has officially been certified by the World Book of Records as the world's longest highway tunnel above 10,000 feet. Director General of Border Roads Organization, BRO, Lieutenant General Rajiv Chaudhary, received the award for the stupendous achievement of the organization in constructing this engineering marvel connecting Manali to the Lahaul-Spiti Valley. The World Book of Records in the United Kingdom is an organization that catalogues and verifies extraordinary records across the world with authentic certification. And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
On 10th February 1846, the Battle of Sobraon was fought between the British forces and the Sikh army.
The First Anglo-Sikh War had commenced in 1845 when the Sikh army crossed the river Sutlej and attacked British positions. This war consisted of a series of battles. The Battle of Sobraon was the last of them. The British victory in these battles was hard-fought as the Sikh army was powerful and had excellent infantry units which had been trained under the leadership of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. At the Battle of Sobraon, the Sikhs lost about 10,000 men. The British suffered only about 230 casualties. It was a decisive victory for the British.
After the war, the Treaty of Lahore was signed on 9th March 1846 between the Governor-General Henry Harding and Maharaja Dilip Singh, the 7-year-old king of the Sikh Empire. This treaty reduced Sikh territorial possessions a great deal and also handed independence to the Raja of Jammu, Gulab Singh, who acquired Jammu by paying a sum to the East India Company. It was also agreed that a British resident was to be appointed at the Lahore Darbar.
सुख का दाता सबका साथी, शुभ का ये संदेश है, माँ की गोद पिता का आश्रय, मेरा मध्य प्रदेश है.
We remember freedom fighter Raja Bakhsh Bali, who was martyred on 10 February 1858. Bali joined hands with the rebels rallying against the British forces in Indore and Dhar areas during the First War of Indian Independence in 1857. His troops captured the fortress of Dhar in the second week of October 1857 from British occupation, but could not retain it for long. However, he readied his soldiers at Lalgarh fort of Amjera state and enlisted hundreds of local tribesmen.
Before the confrontation could actually take place at Lalgarh fort, Bali was persuaded to go out of the fort for taking part in negotiations started by his chief minister, Gulab Rao. However, Bali was captured and sentenced to death. We salute the great martyr.
We also remember freedom fighter Babu Singh, who was martyred on 10 February 1945. A soldier in the British Indian Army during the Second World War, Babu Singh joined the Indian National Army in 1942. He took part in battles against the Allied forces in Burma and died in action on 10 February 1945 in Burma. We salute the great martyr.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर आकाशवाणी समाचार के कार्यक्रम परिक्रमा में बृहस्पतिवार को शाम 4:45 पर सुनिए देश की आजादी में अपना अमूल्य योगदान देने वाले भारतीय स्वतंत्रता संग्राम के सेनानियों की वीर गाथा।
Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase hallmarked gold jewelry. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline's toll-free number 14404. Issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Jago Grahak Jago.
India has rejected the references to Jammu and Kashmir and the so-called China-Pakistan Economic Corridor in the joint statement between China and Pakistan issued on the 6th of this month. In response to media queries in this regard, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said that India has always rejected such references and its position is well known to China and Pakistan. He said the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and the Union Territory of Ladakh have been, are and will always remain integral and inalienable parts of India. He said India expects the parties concerned not to interfere in the matters that are its internal affairs. Mr. Bagchi said India has consistently conveyed its concerns to China and Pakistan on the projects in the so-called China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which are in India's territory that has been illegally occupied by Pakistan. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met his Qatari counterpart Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani in Doha. The two leaders exchanged views on global and regional developments, including Afghanistan. The two leaders also discussed political, economic, digital and security partnerships. Dr. Jaishankar, who is visiting the Gulf country, also thanked the Qatari authorities for the support extended to the Indian community. Appreciating the interest in expanding investment and trade, he said they discussed a broad-based political, economic, digital and security partnership.
The News Services Division of All India Radio will bring an exclusive interview tonight with Farid Mahmoonzai, Ambassador of Afghanistan to India. This interview can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. In cricket, India beat West Indies by 44 runs in the second one-day international to take an unassailable 2-0 lead in the three-match series at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad last night. Earlier, put into bat first, Rohit Sharma-led Team India scored 237 for 9 in the stipulated 50 overs. Surya Kumar Yadav with 64 runs and KL Rahul with 49 runs made valuable contribution. For visitors, Alzari Joseph and Orion Smith took 2 wickets each. In reply, West Indies were bowled out for 193 in 46 overs as Prasidh Krishna picked up 4 wickets while Shardul Narendra Thakur took 2 wickets for the hosts. The final ODI will be played tomorrow at the same venue. Indian men's hockey team defeated host South Africa by 10-2 in their second match of the FIH Pro Hockey League at Potchefstroom last night. Newcomer Jugraj Singh led the Indian charge by scoring 3 goals in 4th, 6th, 23rd minute with his impeccable drag flicks. Harmanpreet Singh scored in 2nd minute, Abhishek in 12th, Gursahibjeet Singh in 24th and 36th minute. Dilpreet Singh in 25th and 58th and Mandeep Singh scored goal in the 27th minute of the match.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. Srinagar recorded a minimum temperature of -2 degrees Celsius and the maximum is expected to be 12 degrees. The city is likely to see mainly clear sky. Jammu will also have mainly clear sky. Leh noted a minimum of -14 degrees Celsius temperature and maximum to be -2 degrees. Gilgit will also have partly cloudy sky. Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear sky. The national capital Delhi is likely to have moderate fog in the morning. The temperature will vary between 9 and 22 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. Chennai is likely to witness cloudy sky with temperature varying between 23 and 31 degrees Celsius. Kolkata is predicted to have cloudy sky with light rain. Imphal will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Shillong will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. The temperature will hover between 4 and 13 degrees Celsius. And Aizawl will have generally cloudy sky with light rain.
And now, an overview of today's newspapers. Western UP to choose its leaders today leads the Pioneer. The paper writes that the first phase of assembly polls to seal fate of 623 hopefuls. Karnataka hijab protests spill over to other states, writes Hindustan Times, adding High Court refers hijab issue to a larger bench. China, Pakistan warned, don't meddle over J&K. India's affairs, states the Asian Age. Delhi regularizes 700 Delhi Jal Board employees, informs the Hindustan Times. As the third wave recedes, the Economic Times writes, more employees return to office. Most companies expect to retain hybrid work model. And finally, Subhash Bhomik autobiography released. Well, the Hindu reports that the autobiography of the distinguished football player and coach Subhash Bhomik, titled Goal, was released by former great Shyam Thapa.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Voting begins for first phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. 58 constituencies across 11 districts go to polls in this phase. Filing of nominations begins today for 7th and final phase of assembly elections in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says the government works with the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. CBSE to conduct second-term board examination for classes 10 and 12 in offline mode from April 26. More than 1 crore youngsters from 15 to 18 years of age received both doses of COVID-19 vaccine so far. AIIMS stops testing patients for COVID before surgeries in the hospital. RBI to announce its bi-monthly monetary policy review today. Government bans import of foreign drones to promote Make in India initiative. National Medical Commission cautions students against enrolling in Chinese universities. In cricket, India beat West Indies by 44 runs in the second ODI in Ahmedabad, takes 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. And Indian men's hockey team defeats South Africa by 10-2 in the second match of the FIH Pro Hockey League. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.